Welcome to George Brown Retirees Association's Musings and Meandering series. I'm Crystal Cotto Sullivan, your host for this series. We are retirees of the college system. Some of us have worked in several colleges, and some of us have spent our entire careers here at George Brown College. But there's more to the story. Many of us come to the college system from other professions and fields of expertise. Some of us have our whole career at the college. The Musings and Meandering series is about the journey that our retirees have taken over a lifetime. We hope to capture the diverse experiences that people have encountered, as well as the treasures they have discovered along the way. So our goal for this series is to discover the richness of our retirees' journeys. I don't know about you, but when I was working at the college, the conversations were often about work, about usually some issue came up and I had to talk to someone. And I got to know very few people. I got to know a few people, but and learn about a few lives, but often I was just too busy to sit and listen and tell stories. So here we are with some time to learn about one another and hear some interesting, adventurous, and entertaining stories. Today, I'm going off script a little bit. I will be chatting with Howard Gerhard today. Howard is not retired. However, he is an honorary member of George Brown College Retirees Association. So welcome, Howard.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Great to have you. It's been a long time since
Yep.
we've worked together. I retired 12 years ago. And when I found out you're still working, I thought, Howard, I think, Howard, you are the longest employee at the college. Would that be true?
Certainly. Probably at this point, I'm the longest teacher in the community college system. There's another Howard that works at Seneca, apparently, and he joined in August of 1969, and I beat him. I joined in January of 1969. So he's a
Okay,
newbie.
1969. So we're talking about 56 years.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is going to be a big story. So Howard, let's just start by talking about how you came to be at the college, because in the 60s was when the colleges started. So
That's
you were
right.
one of the early people that came on board to this new idea for education.
Right.
How did you get to the college?
Well, I was actually applying for a job with the Toronto Board of Education in 1968, just before Christmas, if I remember correctly. And it was to teach ESL.
Mhm.
We had a lot of immigrants, especially coming from Czechoslovakia at that point. The Russians, the Soviets had just invaded, and there were a lot of Czechs who were coming to Canada.
Mhm.
Um, so the Board of Education was looking to expand their faculty.
Mhm.
Um, I got the job. Ray Santon, who was the head of ESL at that point, hired me. And in February of 69, we were taken over by George Brown College. Uh, this was down on College Street, just near Bathurst. Um, they took over not only ESL but BTSD, which is upgrading. They took over power sewing. The early fashion had come over from Nassau Street to College Street. Furniture refinishing was there as well, also I think from Nassau. Anyway, and I taught there essentially for the next couple of years.
Mhm.
Um, I got shipped out because I have early memories of Kensington campus, teaching there during a summer, going to Brock Public Schools. I have no idea how I got to Brock Public School, but teaching as well there. And then finally in 71, I was transferred up to Casa Loma
Mhm.
and stayed there for the next, I don't know, 35 years, 35, 40 years.
Mhm.
Um, then went down to St. James
Mhm.
I once had a list or made a list of all the places I've taught for George Brown, and there's at least 24 places, many of which don't exist anymore. But after I went down to St. James, um, uh, down at Waterfront, up at Casa Loma again, and a lot of my teaching has been sitting right here because I'm online.
Right.
So, so there have been some big changes, very big.
Sure, sure. So a couple of things occur to me is um, just the number one, the changes in space and all the spaces that have occurred. And I know I haven't been there for 12 years, but I know space continues to change. I know that St. James was shut down for a while, and I was in Toronto about a month ago, and coming down King Street, I just noticed new signs that I didn't hadn't seen before. So it's like it's constantly changing, isn't it? The environments that the teaching occurs in.
Well, and this I'm actually investigating this right now. The different campuses that we have tried to establish, that we have lived in for a while. Toronto is big, and
Mhm.
George Brown had a difficult time establishing exactly where the downtown campus, the uptown campus were going to be.
Mm.
And so, like I say, we were all over the place. There was one project that the city of Toronto was thinking of establishing, and that was a metro center, which took over all of the CP&C and rail lines down below Union Station and making a huge metro center out of it. We were going to be part of that. We were
Oh.
going to have a campus on Simcoe Street, right
Mhm.
opposite the Royal Alex. Never
Mhm.
happened. And Roy Thompson Hall took it over. And they built Roy Thompson Hall there, but that was supposed to be an early campus. Uh,
Interesting.
there was another one down at something called Harbor City, down
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
this was I can't even remember whose idea it was, but again, we're talking about late 60s, early 70s. There was supposed to be a whole complex of commercial, residential facilities
Mhm.
down just off the islands, right in the lake, canals, walkways, all kinds of things that were going to be built with landfill.
Oh,
And George Brown was going to have a campus there. It
interesting.
never happened. Jane Jacobs was very instrumental in getting that whole thing started. She was a big urban planner
Mhm.
way back when.
Mhm.
Never happened. We wound up at Trolley Street as our downtown campus very temporarily, the old Eaton's warehouse. That when Eaton Center pushed us out, we finally went over to St. James and established Casa Loma and Kensington at that point, although that's closed. And of course, College Street, where I went initially.
Right.
So we've been all over the place. I often thought that if there was a room for rent in the city, it was going to be a George Brown campus at some point.
Well, as you're talking, what occurs to me is that the flexibility of the college to shift and grow with the city.
Yeah,
I think of other campuses, other colleges that, are kind of outside of the town or the city, and students have to travel out and kind of removed from the vibrancy of the life of the city. And I think one of the really beautiful things about George Brown is it's the ability to really integrate with the city as the city has grown and changed.
sure.
No, nonetheless, there are certain, hubs that are permanent. I mean, Casa Loma, and then we have the waterfront now, the chef school. But like around all of that, and I think the design school is fairly permanent. I don't know if it's rented or not, but there's there's always kind of a shift. It's like, okay, what do we need now? Let's look around the city and let's see what we have. And I think that's a real distinct characteristic of George Brown.
And you're absolutely right. And it worked to our advantage in some ways, in that, for instance, the culinary division, if you want to call it that, was originally based at Kensington, right in the Kensington Market.
Right.
Terrific. Kensington Market, lots of international food. On the other hand, when I start reading the history, I feel it's sort of like we've been chased from one place to another. This, no, you can't afford this. We won't sell this to you. Oh, sorry, we're tearing that building down. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it is a vibrant place, and we have taken advantage of it in many ways. At the
Yeah.
same time, especially in the formative years, it was that kind of, while the lease is up, we better haul ourselves out of here. So
Right. Right.
both.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that I know that you're working on the city and the college. You're looking at the history of how the
Yes.
city actually related to the college. And I think that I'm just going to kind of set that in the parking lot for now because I think that's going to be a whole other conversation. What I want to talk about is